So for our viewers, and which could be all over the country or the world for that matter, what they really need to do if they're beginning this process is to find out, what are the animals that are indigenous to their area and what their habits are and what's going on at different points in the season for their area, unless they're going to go travel to a national park or something.
Right.
If they're working within the confines of their environment, know your animals in your area, know their habits and know when they're going to be out.
Exactly.
Okay.
You really have to do the research. One thing is I've been to Africa 3 times. The first time I went without a guide. It was just me and another guy. We drove to 4 countries in 14 days, and I mean, not really much of an agenda, and we didn't know. I mean, this is Africa. This is our first time, and we did see a fair amount of stuff, but we didn't see, some epic stuff. I didn't see tons of lions and leopards and things like that. It was an okay trip, but the season or the time, it was a fine time to go, but we didn't do enough research. We didn't know where to go. My past 2 trips, I've used guides, and I highly recommend it. If you're not going to spend just a tremendous amount of time doing the research on the area and the animals, and just because you go to Yellowstone, you have to know what part of Yellowstone to go to find the bears and whatever. I mention bears a lot just because that's my favorite, but it applies to the bighorn sheep. There's a fair amount of bighorn sheep in Yellowstone, and they're only pretty much in certain places and stuff. You have to do that research. If you're not going to use a guide's going to take you to all these places, and it's like, hey, I want to see some moose. Okay, let's go here. I want a bighorn sheep, stuff like that. But if you're doing this on your own, which probably the majority of the people will, either a family vacation or this has been on their bucket list and stuff. Spend weeks, on YouTube and social media and doing the research of the area. What do you want to see when you go to this particular park? So
let's share some of your expertise with the audience. So let's touch on some, I'd say, basic animals. So say, for instance, bears, elephants, lions, whales, owls. What time of year and where's the best place to see them?
Well, for Africa, like during the migration in Tanzania and Kenya, I haven't been to Kenya, but it's basically part of the same migration. They kind of overlap a little bit, but it's February, March, and then late September, October for the other for the return migration. So that's really important to know. I've been there in May, and I still seen an awful lot of animals. I was really pleased, in May, in the middle of the migration, or between the two, how many animals I did see. Tons of lions and leopards and cheetahs and everything. But that trip was part of basically a research trip. But Yellowstone, you have to again, and the park opens like usually the 3rd weekend in April and then closes sometime in October depending on the weather and stuff. So you have a limited season of going there. But so let's talk about real quick mistakes. I've made a few. I've certainly made more than my share in the beginning, but even just in this recent trip to Africa, we'll show a couple pictures. If we can bring those lion pictures up. So this beautiful male lion, he's up on this rock. I got the nice blue sky and the trees behind him, and it was just a phenomenal setting. But if you look at the back feet, they're cut off. So I'm using a 400 prime lens, a 2.8, and where we were at right then, we couldn't move the vehicle. So that's the shot I got. So I immediately grabbed my other lens and I was able to pull back and getting I included that foot there. It was just normally that most people wouldn't notice, wouldn't care, because it's a majestic animal. You've got one of the larger lions in Africa, but You see how much better that looks with his foot included. Yeah, it's a little different pose and stuff, but again, you look at the rule of thirds, you see his face right up in that upper third. It's immediately drawing your eye. When you first look at that picture, boom, you're drawn right to his face. So, and another picture, if we can bring up the wolf picture. This was shot a number of years ago in Yellowstone National Park. And so there's the picture I took. This is when I was not using auto ISO, and you can see it's just blown out. But because I shot in RAW, we have this image. If I would have been shooting JPEG, this image would have never turned out. And this is the absolute best wolf picture I've ever taken. And he's looking directly at me. We totally have eye contact. There's great detail on him. There's got the sagebrush in front. But again, the rule of thirds. He's up. His face is in the upper quadrant there. Got the eye contact. Both eyes. I mean, anytime you can be patient enough and get both eyes, your picture is going to be so much enhanced.
And you can really see the advantage of shooting in RAW there. From the first picture where normally you'd think, okay, I've just blown it here, to be able to go back into post-production and make that thing a great, as you said, one of the best shots you've ever had of a wolf. So that's a great advantage and a great lesson for our viewers.
I can't stress the importance of shooting in RAW enough. So many people, a JPEG's easier. It's it takes up less space on your hard drive and stuff. But it takes up less space because you only have a portion of that information. Right. So there's no downside to shooting in RAW.
Right. Right. Very good.
Okay. Now going back to that, twofold. I know we're going to get into editing in the next course. Right. But when we look at that picture of the wolf, did you immediately know that you could salvage it, or when you're going through and go, that's not a good picture, I'm just going to go ahead and delete it, or do you keep everything on your card before until you download it onto your computer?
I've learned there's a big mistake of deleting in camera. I'm guilty of still doing it a little bit. But here's the thing. When you're deleting in camera, and you go along, and then you keep taking pictures. Okay, it deleted what you see, but a lot of that information is still on there. So what happened to me a few years ago? I took 32 gigs of snow geese here in Utah, and I got back, went to download it, and it says there's no image there. I could clearly see it on the back of the camera. They're there, but when I put it in the computer, it said there's nothing there. And come to find out, is it over buffered? It overfilled the card. Luckily, it cost me almost $200 to recover that, but it was 32 gigs of amazing photos and videos of the snow geese. So as much as it's you want to, I recommend do not delete in camera. Just more than likely if you've got a higher capacity card, a higher end card, spend the money, get a name brand card. There's cheap ones. Just spend the money, get a good one. This was a better card that I used, and it was able to be recovered. But don't delete in camera.
So don't delete in camera, and then what about as far as formatting your card? After I download it and I make copies, and here's what I do. Let me tell you the story really quick, because this is really, really important on a big trip. A couple years ago, I went to Alaska. Every one of these trips, I'll buy 2 brand new hard drives, external hard drives, and I make up the folders before I go. I'm all set. I get there, 21 bear the first day. It was just absolutely amazing. I took, like 1,200 images roughly the first day. So get my computer out, download the first hard drive, everything's fine, plug in the other one, and it doesn't recognize it. And these are brand new. I made the folders. I know they're good drives. And come to find out, I had no backup. And we're in a remote location. We flew in, to this remote location in Alaska. So I shot 4.5 days
with no backup. Very, very scary, because I am absolutely getting the best bear shots of my career, my life. And so I get to Anchorage. I go to the store and buy another hard drive. I think I transfer most of everything. And come to find out later on, I didn't get absolutely everything. But so I have this backup of most of the other stuff, and then I got the main hard drive. I get back here to Utah, and I'm showing a buddy a video. It's the computer sitting there. No one's near the computer. No one's near the hard drive. And poof, it actually just basically vaporized. There was not a single bit of data. No one could get these images off. So from that point on, I still have the 2 hard drives. I don't go with that brand of hard drive ever again. And then I have 2 flash drives. So my last 2 trips to Africa, I have 2 external hard drives and 2 flash drives, a 512 gig. And then when I get back, each night I'll make those copies, and then I will delete the images off there. And I heard this a long time ago, and I have no idea. There's no way to really know if it's valid. But I format the things 3 times. It just takes seconds. But somebody said, and really all your data is still there, even if you format it. As long as you don't take pictures over it, then technically someone could go recover photos off those. So someone mentioned this years ago, and I've done it ever since, but I will format each card 3 times, and it just takes seconds. So
Well, I'm glad that you can use your mishaps to educate the viewers so that they don't have the similar experience. We have a question coming in. Angela Berry from Southern Utah says, in the bear wolf photo, there's 2 questions. Did the bear get the wolf? And second, tell me a little bit about how you got the shot.
Okay. That was a day that I mean, I will never ever forget. It was July 5th, 2010, Lamar Valley in Yellowstone, and I arrive early. I get there like at 6 in the morning. I'd already been doing a couple of things, and then I get down to this location. There's a very large grizzly bear down in the water, right on the edge of the Lamar River, and he's eating on a bison, and it's pretty close. The picture that you're talking about there, that was about 78 yards away. There was the Lamar River between us, and so it was an epic situation. And basically, I was there from roughly 6 o'clock in the morning till about 1 in the afternoon, and I'd moved on. But during the course of that event, 3 grizzly bears came in and 4 wolves trying to eat off this bison. And one of the larger bears, Scarface, he came into the situation, and the other bear went running. I've got pictures of that, like on my website and my Facebook and stuff, of bears chasing bears, bears chasing wolves, but the wolf, he got away and he went back. And I have one picture. He's got this slab of meat from this bison carcass. It's got to weigh 25, 30 pounds. And he's running away with it, and the bear's just kind of like, okay. The bear had more than his share of meat that day, but it was just the look on the bear's face. It was just like, okay, just take it. But it's just an absolute epic day. There'll be, it would be hard to compete with that as far as all the action that happens so fast and throughout the course of the day.
Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but that picture back there with the bear chasing the wolf, I actually purchased that for my wife as a gift.
Okay.
Because she just absolutely loves that stuff. And I saw that on your website, and I said, I got to have that picture because it just tells such a great story. And he's chased him away from some food, and good to know that the wolf got away. But it's and I can tell her that. But yeah, you do such a great job, and that was by far one of my favorite pictures. So I went ahead and got it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
It was just an incredible day. That picture is basically stolen and misused on the internet every single day. It's very hard to police, but I do go after the people that get that, and that brings up putting your watermark on there and stuff. It helps for the most part, but that particular picture, I've had numerous people take my watermark off and put their own on there. Some people have posted, you know, that it was taken like 2 months before the image was ever taken, and but it's one of those things. You can put your watermark on there, but with technology now, it's very easy to you know, to remove.
That's just part of it.
I'll put like 2 or 3 watermarks on. Most people don't know that. I'll put it in strategic locations. You could download it and stuff, but if you were to print it, you would actually see the, you know, the multiple watermarks. I do that on my, you know, stuff like that. So.
Right.